Once in a small town in Africa, there lived a woman named Maryam. Life had never been easy for her. She was a mother of 3 beautiful children, Teo, Kemi, and Depo. Her husband, Bayo, had abandoned them when the children were still very young. One day, he left home and never returned. No letters, no phone calls, no explanation. Maryam was left alone to care for her children. With no one to help and no job to rely on, Maryam knew she had to do whatever it took to provide for her children. She didn't have much, but she had hope and a strong will to make sure her kids wouldn't suffer. So, she began hawking on the streets of the busy city. Every morning, Maryam would wake up before sunrise, tie her wrapper tightly around her waist, and set out with a tray of goods balanced on her head, selling fruits, vegetables, and anything she could find to make a little money. Under the scorching sun and through the rain, she walked the streets, calling out to passers-by, trying to make just enough to feed her children for the day. Life wasn't easy. The days were long, and the money was often small, but Maryam never gave up. She was determined that her children would not follow the same difficult path she had. Education is your way out, she would tell them every night, encouraging them to study hard. No matter how tired she was, she made sure they did their homework, often reading their school books by the dim light of a kerosene lamp. She sacrificed everything to pay for their school fees, sometimes going hungry herself just to make sure they had enough to eat. Teo, the eldest, saw how hard his mother worked and promised himself that one day, he would take care of her. Kemi, the only daughter, helped her mother on weekends, selling goods with her in the market, but she, too, dreamed of a better life. And Depo, the youngest, was smart and full of potential. They all knew that their mother's struggles were for their future, and they didn't want to let her down. Years went by, and little by little, Maryam's children began to succeed. Teo graduated from university with a degree in engineering and got a good job with a construction company. Kemi became a nurse, fulfilling her dream of helping others. And Depo, the youngest, went on to study abroad and became a successful lawyer. They had all made it in life, just as their mother had always hoped and prayed for. By now, Maryam no longer needed to hawk on the streets. Her children had grown up, and they were taking care of her. They bought her a beautiful house in a peaceful neighborhood and showered her with love and respect. She was proud of the adults they had become and felt grateful that all her sacrifices had not been in vain. Then one day, something unexpected happened. After many years of being gone, Bayo, their father, suddenly showed up. His hair had turned gray, and he looked worn out by life. He came knocking at the door of the home that his children had built for their mother. He had heard of their success and had come to reconcile, hoping to benefit from the wealth his children now had. At first, there was silence. Teo, Kemi, and Depo didn't know how to feel. The man who had abandoned them in their time of need was now standing in front of them, asking for forgiveness. Maryam, who had carried the burden alone for so long, watched quietly. Her heart was heavy, remembering the pain she had endured, the nights she had cried alone, wondering how she would feed her children the next day. But she had moved past the bitterness long ago. In a calm voice, Maryam told Bayo, "You left when we needed you the most. I raised these children alone. We suffered, but we survived. Everything they are today is because of the love, hard work, and sacrifices I made for them. You weren't there." The children stood by their mother's side, their loyalty to her clear. Bayo lowered his head in shame. He had missed their entire childhood, their struggles, and their successes. He realized that the family bond he had once abandoned was now stronger without him. He asked for forgiveness, but he knew things would never be the same. Maryam, being the strong and forgiving woman that she was, allowed Bayo to speak to the children, but she made it clear that the life they had built was through their own hard work, and he could not simply return expecting to share in their success. In the end, the children respected their mother's decision. They forgave their father for abandoning them but understood that their true hero was the woman who had stood by them through thick and thin, Maryam, their mother. She had given them everything, and they vowed to always honor her for the rest of their lives. And so, the family continued, with Maryam at the heart of it, respected and loved by her children, who had become successful because of her sacrifices. Her story became an inspiration to many, a reminder that no matter how tough life gets, with love, determination, and hard work, anything is possible.